Welcome to another edition of Anti Moonboy News. Let's start with the weekly super chats. The first super chat from Clean Outputs. He donates 0.01277466 XMR. And he says, Zano is a scam. Well, thank you for the donation. And stay tuned because after the super chats, we will be talking a lot about Zano. Now, the next donation is from Miss You Friend, who donates 0.05149 596 XMR. Thank you so much. And their message, did you get banned? Damn. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I don't think I've been banned from anything. I was away for about a week and a half because it was the holiday season. But no, I'm not banned as far as I know. And lastly, I missed this question last week, so I'm going to highlight it now. It's from Anonymous, who donated 0.01396323 XMR. Thank you very much. What do you think about people who say that holding XMR is utterly bad and they should always spend? Can't I use it as a type of long-term investment? Anyway, keep the amazing work going. Cheers. Well, thank you very much for that question. So yeah, I mean, the thing is that cryptocurrency has scarcity. So yeah, if you're looking at Monero as a long-term investment, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with that. And you shouldn't let people, gatekeep you from doing that. There are people who are very militant about how cryptocurrency should be. And, I'm not going to pretend that I also don't have, ideals that, I like to, project, right? The name of this channel is Anti Moonboy, right? Why is that? Well, it's not that I don't, I don't want people to buy cryptocurrency and make money. It's that I'm against the type of Moonboy, that person who is only in cryptocurrency to make money, and that person who is willing to sacrifice any type of idealism or principles for the sake of a pump. And that is what we have seen with Bitcoin. And I don't want a project like Monero to end up like that. Now, there are Moonboys in Monero, to be very clear. There absolutely are. And there's nothing I can really do about that, except, point out that, hey, we can't do this or that because that would get in the way of being digital cash. So yeah, to answer your question, do whatever you want, man. You can buy Monero as a long-term investment. There are many people like you out there. All right, so now we get to the main topic of discussion today. In fact, the only topic of discussion. I am going to take the news from this week and just talk about it next week. There wasn't that much news to talk about anyway. We have more pressing matters, and that is Zano. This week, it has been a lot of drama on the internet with Zano. Basically, there is a Twitter user who goes by the name Untraceable. He's probably among the most well-known Monero Twitter influencers. And he debated the Zano team on Monerotopia, which is a show on YouTube. I'm sure most of you guys have heard of it. Yeah, Untraceable, he did a great job. He pointed out a lot of the issues that I have with Zano, and he did it in a very neutral and composed manner. And if you're listening, Untraceable, you should start putting out more content, man. You're very well spoken, and I liked a lot of the points you brought up. So, yeah, really just great stuff on your end, man. Anyways, I wanted to spend some time talking about Zano. And this isn't just about Zano, although that's what I'm mostly going to be talking about, but it's about on a bigger scale, cryptocurrency in general and how people go about using cryptocurrency. And my question to you guys is, how is Zano being used today? How is Zano being used today? Now, if you really think about it, the way Zano is being used is that its supporters are taking screenshots of the price of Zano and posting it on social media. That summarizes how Zano is being used. The second use case of Zano that I have seen is kind of these highly speculative glimpses into a future where everyone trusts Zano and uses it. You have people saying that it's going to be the next big thing. All these people are going to be using it, blah, blah, blah. In other words, it's speculative. These two things are really how most cryptocurrency is used today. So this is not just me picking on Zano, this is just cryptocurrency in general. It is very much an economy that is built on dreams of the future and betting on that dream. It has really hurt a lot of people over time because people get sucked into the latest craze and then they get burned. A trap that people fall into is they let their guard down when it comes to projects that are throwing themselves out there as a quote-unquote privacy coin. This phrase is one of the worst things in cryptocurrency today. I hate the phrase privacy coin. I don't think Monero is a privacy coin. I don't think Zano is a privacy coin. I don't think Zcash is a privacy coin. These are all just projects that are cryptocurrencies. They have privacy features, but actually pretty much every cryptocurrency has privacy as part of it. The most used cryptocurrency right now for privacy is Monero, most likely. However, Bitcoin is still used a lot. On darknet markets, Monero is being used more, but in ransomware attacks, Bitcoin is still being used a lot. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that Bitcoin is just more liquid. So does that mean Bitcoin is a privacy coin? Right? If we're looking at actual usage, yeah, it is. Like, it fundamentally is. It has taken a hit after Samurai Wallet has gone down, but there are people who still use Bitcoin privately. And yes, you can use Bitcoin privately. Just because it has a transparent layer doesn't mean that you can't use techniques to obfuscate your transaction history. So I'm just very against this phrase privacy coin because what I view it as is a marketing tool. There's these people who are now talking about Monero that have appeared over the past year or so. And they're talking about how privacy coins are the next big thing. And it's very Moonboy-ish. When I see privacy coin, there's this undertone of Moonboyism lurking there, where it's like, yeah, invest in the next privacy coin. In the same way people are talking about NFTs or, the next ERC20 token or whatever. That's the same kind of vibe I get here. It's not necessarily a bad thing that people are promoting privacy, but it's more important to look at the entire project because cryptocurrency is not just about privacy. It's the sum of all the parts. For example, Zcash. You probably wonder why Zcash is not being used on darknet markets, right? Well, Zcash can have very strong privacy. It can, fundamentally. The research being done on it is brilliant stuff. We have to be honest here. But everything else about the project sucks, like a lot. It's corporate. It's very sterile. Nobody trusts it. It has a really bad origin with a dev tax. It's going to proof of stake after having said dev tax. ASIC mining. It doesn't have dynamic blocks. There's a lot of very bad things about Zcash. Okay, things that I don't like particularly much at all. Even though they have all of this investment going into Zcash, way more than what Zano has and way more than all these other projects, even though it has all this investment going into it, people aren't using it. If you're getting lost in this whole, it's a privacy coin or if it's not a privacy coin, you're on the wrong path. You have to look at the entire picture. And that is what we have to do with Zano. Because it's not just about the privacy, it's about everything within it, okay? And sometimes being critical of something is actually the right thing to do. There's another mindset I'm seeing a lot where people are saying, you shouldn't bring people down that are on the same team. I've seen that phrase like 5 times on Twitter already from different people. And the thing is, no, actually skepticism and a critical eye is a really, really good thing. It's something that you should have. And if a project is getting that, that's a good thing. And you should support that. Just because something is touting itself as a privacy coin doesn't mean we can cover our ears and go, la, 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 can't hear you, right? We have to look out for things and to constantly be checking things because scams happen all the time in cryptocurrency. So let's look at Zano and how it launched. Now in the talk, again, Untraceable did a great job going point by point, really explaining a lot of the issues that we have here, right? And so the first thing is we actually have to go back not one project, but 2 projects. all the way back to 2012 with Bytecoin. Bytecoin, for those who aren't aware, was a scam project that was launched, and it was the first project that used CryptoNote, which is what Monero uses. And so this project got launched, and immediately on Bitcoin Talk, which is where it was announced, a lot of people called it out, and they were like, this is a scam, there's a pre-mine. But then they started to realize, like, wow, the technology here is actually really good. So they forked it and created BitMonero, which would eventually be called Monero. Yes, Monero was created because of a scam. Okay, it's a weird origin, but that is actually how Monero was created. Zoidberg, who is behind Zano, he was one of the main coders at Bytecoin. I don't know exactly how much coding he was doing. The story is different every time I hear it. Let's just say he was hired to do coding work for them. He did not create the CryptoNote implementation. You know, he wasn't staying up late at night, coming up with key images and stealth addresses. No, that wasn't him. He strictly was coding it, and he was involved in this project that was a scam. Now, Zoidberg here, he's playing both sides on this, where if somebody brings up the fact that he was involved in the scam, Zoidberg says, oh, no, I wasn't involved with that at all. I was just working for them. But then if somebody, says something about how, Monero wasn't launched in a certain way, he'll say, oh, no, I was involved with how Monero was launched. I wrote Monero, right? So he's kind of like having both sides of this, where he's like immune to criticism. So that's one strike against this guy. He was involved in a shady scam. I've also read that he was involved with writing malware, which, I don't think that's a good thing. So this guy has a weird backstory already. Bytecoin was forked. Monero becomes popular. So then Zoidberg leaves Bytecoin, and he creates a new project as a competition against Monero, and it is called Bullberry. As an aside, Bullberry, terrible name. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. Like, who would actually say that? Like, hey, can you send me some Bullberry? Like, terrible name, okay? That's probably why no one ever used it. Anyways, he creates Bullberry, okay? And Bullberry has a massive pre-mine. He creates this project with a pre-mine, and he tries to compete with Monero. And it doesn't work out so well. Monero continues to grow. His project isn't really used at all. And during the debate, he brings this up. He says, Bullberry had very small amount of users. On the exchanges, there wasn't much liquidity, etc. So then he decides to launch Zano as a new project. And the thing is, his idea, and it's him and his team, is that they're going to have a 1-for-1 swap of Bullberry for Zano. And they're going to give their community like an 8 to 9 month notice of this. And then they're going to give them a 1 month period in which they can't swap their Bullberry for Zano. This is a really dumb design. And the skeptical side of me thinks they did this because they knew that, one, the only people who were probably holding on to Bullberry, who had the biggest bags, were the developers, and they wanted to hold on to that net worth they already had, or maybe the investment they already had into it, right? But the other thing too is the community, by their own admission, was very small. So not many people even had Bullberry to start with. So they're kind of like saying, yeah, there weren't really many people using it, so it wasn't a big deal. And at the same time, they're saying, well, we wanted to help out the community. It's like, it doesn't really make much sense. But if you look at it from a cynical side, like I am, it's, well, they want to maximize the amount of supply they have in Zano, which is what essentially I think happened. They did this 1-for-1 swap where, again, the people who most likely were aware of this happening or who had Bullberry in the first place were probably developers or insiders who were involved with this. And by the way, they had the foresight of this happening, so they were able to go ahead of time and slurp up the liquidity on these exchanges of Bullberry. And then they swapped 1-for-1 into Zano. So they did that. And on top of that, they have a pre-mine in Zano. So here's what you have. You have a pre-mine in Bullberry. You have an advantage of being able to swap into Zano in that 1 month period, and you have a Zano premine. But wait, there's more. Because on top of all of that, you now have proof of stake. So what you're able to do is you're able to get passive income on all the cryptocurrency you awarded yourself already. One thing that Untraceable was having difficulty with was explaining why this is a dev tax, but it is a dev tax. They have proportionally the largest amount of Zano of anybody. And all they have to do is just sit on their Zano and they get passive income because of that. So if you only had 100 Zano in existence and the developers have, let's say, 50 of that Zano, for every one Zano that's created, they get half of it, right? And everybody else who's buying in, well, they're going to get smaller and smaller amounts. And it benefits the developers who did nothing to get that amount. So in general, I really don't like premines. It's not the end of the world. For example, Ethereum, I don't hate Ethereum. I think there's some use there, but I'm not big on the foundation. But I understand why they have it, right? Like I can be convinced that it's not a problem. The problem with premines is you're trying to manufacture passion in your project. You're essentially hiring mercenaries to work for your project, right? It's like if you look throughout history, Carthage, for example, they would hire mercenaries to do their work when they were, fighting the Romans. They didn't have their own armies. They would, hire these other armies. Well, what would happen once the war was over? Well, they would have to pay them, right? And then the mercenaries would just go back to their homeland or whatever and blah, blah, blah. So what happens once the premine's over? Are these people going to stay? Are they really passionate? Or are they just collecting, a salary? When you look at projects like Bitcoin and Monero or any, free open source project out there, the reason they're allowed to continue is not just because people are donating to them, but it's because people are really passionate about them. People really care. And when you're trying to create that passion through these premines, very often you're not getting that type of enthusiasm that you would be getting with other projects. I'm definitely more critical of this than other people in Monero. But for me, this is a red flag. And again, I am putting this next to all the other red flags I've already talked about, right? This guy working on a previous scam, this guy tossing aside a previous project and doing this really, unorthodox coin swap thing into this, having a premine in the previous project as well, and then staking all of that on top of all of that. It's just like kind of a lot. And in the debate, Untraceable is pointing this out, and there's kind of just this hand waving, like, whatever, like we wouldn't do that kind of thing. Multiple times the Zano guys were like, yeah, but we're not doing that. Yeah, but I don't trust you. And that's we're kind of at this standstill here, right? I just don't trust them, and that's the problem. Now I'm being harsh, but the reason I'm being harsh is because to use something, I need to trust it. Okay? And it's not just me, it's everybody. It's the actual economy out there that is interested in cryptocurrency. The only reason they want to use a cryptocurrency, and I'm saying actually to use it, is if they really believe in it, okay? If they really have something that they want from it. For example, we have this idea of a confidential layer, which is this secondary layer of a clone token from Cosmos on the Zano layer. I know, confusing, but the idea here is you're going to be able to wrap assets like Bitcoin on the Zano chain. Why would somebody who likes Bitcoin do that? Seriously, why would they? I don't know if you were aware, but Bitcoiners tend to hate projects that aren't Bitcoin. So how are you going to convince them to use Zano? Okay. They're not going to. And in fact, the majority of people who quote unquote use Bitcoin, okay, they're just buying it and selling it on an exchange. So how would you convince me to use Zano? Because I'm just going to tell you, I'm just going to use Monero. And that's what I'm going to continue to use because that's what I've been using. Because I know it works and I trust it a lot. So who is going to end up using Zano? Why should other people trust Zano? It is a bit of a chicken and egg problem, right? To get adoption, you need adoption. And really to push through that, it needs reputation. It needs a lot of people who are passionate about this project. Frankly, it needs a lot of people who aren't just posting charts of the price of Zano going up, because that is literally all I see. And it's funny, I actually made a tweet about this yesterday, and no joke, there were like multiple influencers out there posting charts of Zano because I guess it pumped today. Like literally, this is all I see of Zano, and I'm proven right yet again. That's how people use Zano. They buy and hold it. They have escrow, okay? We already have multi-sig. It's not like escrow is foreign to smart contract platforms. This isn't really reinventing anything. Peer-to-peer marketplaces, those already exist. I'm not sure how Zano is reinventing the wheel on that either. In fact, we're talking about smart contract platforms. There's more programmability in something like Ethereum than there is in Zano. So really, if you're Zano, you probably really shouldn't be trying to win over the people who like Monero. You should be trying to win over the people. You want to be winning over people making Farcoin. I'm not even joking. That's really where the degeneracy is for, just throwing money at stuff. That's what you want to be attacking. I'm not even joking when I say that too. That's literally where most of your adoption is probably going to come from if you're going down this path. But the problem is, why would those people come over to Zano, right? What does Zano have that Ethereum doesn't have? Oh, some privacy? They don't care. So it's kind of like, what market is Zano going after? And I'll tell you what it is, and it's the root of all of this. The people going to Zano only care about the price. It's a tale as old as time. Really, if you've been in crypto, you should be used to this at this point. It's pump and dumps. And the thing is, I think Zano is going to go up a lot more. It's very likely going to go up a lot more. You look at Pirate Chain. Pirate Chain made it to like a 2 billion market cap last cycle. And Pirate Chain is worse than Zano. If they could get there, I don't see why Zano can't get to like a 2 billion market cap. So that's a 10x from here. Like I can see that happening, as sad as that is. And people are going to get burned pretty fucking hard because of that. So anyways, I'll leave you guys with one question. How is Zano being used today? All right, that's enough out of me. This is actually the second time I'm recording this rant, so I'm a little grumpy now. I recorded this already, but then I found out that my mic was unplugged. So I hope you guys enjoyed this rant. I'm going to go, if you like the content, shoot me a donation. And yeah, have a nice day.